replayed it for you a couple of times. You were just watching Senator John McCain at a National Security Roundtable earlier today. He was asked frequently by the press about his endorsement for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know, joining me now is Nate Terani. Now, Nate Terani is a military veteran. He's a Muslim American, and he's asking Senator John McCain to pull that endorsement, to denounce Trump.
Right. Yeah.
So earlier today, you and a few others went to Senator McCain's office, and you guys dropped off 113,000 signatures.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that in just a second, but first I want to actually show the viewers this video
Definitely.
that you have posted on your Facebook page. Sure. And we'll play this right now for viewers, and that way they can see what happened earlier today, and then we'll talk about it. And viewers, if you have any questions, many of you guys are just joining us on Facebook Live, I'll be able to monitor that, read those questions coming in, ask Nate those questions from you. So just feel free to drop those in, I'll be reading them, and we will be able to share your thoughts with Nate and hear from him as well. So let's go ahead and watch this clip from earlier today, and we'll be back with you guys in a minute.
Know is that Captain Humayun Khan looked up to you. His dad, Khizr Khan, had even sent him your book, Why Courage Matters, which he had in his possession when he died in Iraq. Senator McCain, Captain Humayun Khan lost his life saving his troops, reading your words of courage. So Senator McCain, will you not stand up for the family of Humayun Khan and the tens of millions of other American families who have been the victims of Donald Trump's hate speech? We veterans here collected still have faith in you as our national leader. Senator McCain, do the right thing. Stand with your fellow veterans. Disavow and unendorse Donald Trump. As Senator McCain knows, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States military is the leader of one of the most diverse militaries on earth. Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot. What you may not know is that Captain Humayun Khan looked up to you. His dad, Khizr Khan, had even sent him your book, Why Courage Matters, which he had in his possession when he died in Iraq. Senator McCain, Captain Humayun Khan lost his life saving his troops, reading your words of courage. So Senator McCain, will you not stand up for the family of Humayun Khan and the tens of millions of other American families who have been the victims of Donald Trump's hate speech? We veterans here collected still have faith in you as our national leader. Senator McCain, do the right thing. Stand with your fellow veterans. Disavow and unendorse Donald Trump. As Senator McCain knows, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States military is the leader of one of the most diverse militaries on earth. Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot.
So that was video from earlier today outside of Senator McCain's office.
Yeah.
Okay. So 113,000 signatures have been collected, Nate. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, Americans across the country, Arizonans, military families, veteran families, are fed up with the hatred and vitriol coming from Donald Trump, and we're calling upon GOP leadership, and in Arizona we're calling on Senator John McCain to not just distance themselves from Donald Trump and his hate speech, but to fully disavow him and to unendorse him and to stand up against him.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's interesting because it is an election year, and I think that's one of the tough positions that Senator McCain and other GOP leadership are in. Mm-hmm. They don't want to say anything that could risk their own career future.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you say that, because what we're talking about there is courage, right? John McCain wrote the book on courage. Right. He wrote Why Courage Matters. And Khizr Khan, who is Humayun Khan's father, just recently said that Humayun Khan looked up to Senator McCain.
Right.
He idolized him, for lack of a better term. And Khizr Khan sent John McCain's book to Humayun Khan while he was in Iraq. Wow. And Humayun Khan is the person that ran towards danger to save his troops and he's a hero, and he died over there because of that. And what I asked, in that little speech earlier was, why won't Senator McCain stand up for Humayun Khan and the tens of millions of other Americans that Donald Trump has perpetrated hate speech against, So...
Right. I do want to check in with social media. I know some of you guys are tweeting me different comments, questions. If you guys have any questions for Nate, you guys can tweet me at SamiaFox10, or if you're watching on Facebook Live, all you need to do is leave those comments, questions in the comment section. I'll be able to read some of those. I know we are getting some heated comments because there are some Trump supporters in there in the chat room,
Yeah.
so we will read some of those comments later. Bob Kerr is with you, Nate, saying that any Republican looking for my vote better pull his or her endorsement. Don't be a party stooge. What do you
Right.
think about Bob's comments?
I love it, because that's exactly what's happening right now with Senator McCain. He's putting party before country. And if you look at other brave senators like Susan Collins, they've come out and said they're not going to vote for Trump.
Right.
Now, I'm not advocating that you vote for this person or for that person. What I'm saying is that Donald Trump is wholly unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. In the U.S. military, the commander-in-chief is the leader of one of the most diverse militaries on earth. And I've said, Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot. He's unfit to serve as leader of the military, as commander-in-chief.
Now, you mentioned it being one of the most diverse militaries. Talk about that. I mean, you yourself were a part of this military.
Yeah.
You are Muslim American. Talk about your own experiences having served the country.
Yeah, and there's many thousands of Muslim Americans, there's Latinos, the LGBT community. All of that is what makes our military so strong. And it's that diversity that makes us great as a nation. And those are every demographic that Donald Trump has gone after. He's attacked everyone. And by doing that, he's alienated and, pit people against each other. And that's not what a commander-in-chief does. A commander-in-chief is supposed to be a uniter.
I'm going to go ahead and check in with Twitter once again. Judith Gomez saying, we need our senators to be honest. People hopeful about good Trump debates will be so disappointed he has no real feel for foreign policy.
Yeah. I mean, this is someone that's been cozying up to Russia, to Putin. He seems to be an admirer of Vladimir Putin, and that's someone we need to be very wary of. We need to make sure that we have a substantive and realistic foreign policy. Donald Trump seems to have no idea about foreign policy. I don't know if he knows where all the countries are. And so, this is a great question. I'm very excited to see the debates myself.
Judith Gomez, thank you for showing the courage that John McCain is presently unable to summit. How sad is this? These are heroes.
Yeah, and I think and that's what, military veterans, we took an oath.
Yeah.
The oath is to preserve, protect the Constitution. And that oath doesn't have an expiration date. And that's why you're seeing so many military veterans appalled by what Donald Trump is doing, standing up and saying, this is wrong, this is not why we served, and you folks, the national GOP leadership need to unendorse him. This is not why we served. And in fact, every elected official takes an oath like that too. They need to stand by their oath.
And what drew you to the Navy? What was your path like? How did you end up a member of the U.S. military?
I love my country. I wanted to serve my country. A part of the tenets of my Muslim faith is service to your community. Everyone that I love, everyone that I care about, my nation, all of the values the diversity that we have in the United States, all of those things are things I wanted to protect. And so I decided to serve in the military because of my faith. And people like Donald Trump would have you believe that my story is not possible in the U.S. These are the kinds of wedges that they try to drive into society, but it's absolutely not true. And we need to call them out for it.
What was that moment that when you decided? Like, how did you make this decision?
Yeah.
Because it's a big decision to make.
Yeah. I think on some level I always knew I wanted to do
Really,
it.
from a kid?
I was a Cub Scout. I loved being in uniform. I loved being of service. My mom was, just always there by my side. When I went to be sworn in to the Navy, my mom was there, my aunt and my grandmother, and I had given my mom my camera to take some pictures. MEPS is the place where you're sworn in. It's a building here in Phoenix. And she was crying so hard that all I got was just pictures of the carpet,
Aww.
and, but, because she was so proud.
Right.
This is a Muslim mother, incredibly proud of her Muslim son joining the U.S. military. And this is what the diversity in our country is all about. This is what Donald Trump smears every time he opens his mouth. And this is what people like Senator John McCain need to denounce and need to disavow.
Right.
Senator McCain has been an advocate. He's been a military man. He's a military hero. he needs to stand up for his fellow military servicemen and women. So he needs to display some of that courage. He's abandoned his values.
And do you think that's just because it's an election year?
I don't know. I don't know why it is. I'm not a politician. I'm just a veteran that's been stirred to speak up. Mm-hmm. And I think it's my responsibility because of that oath to speak up. I don't know what the political motivations may be. I wish I had better insight into politics. All I know is what's right and wrong. And what John McCain is doing right now is a clear abandonment of everything he swore to uphold.
Mm-hmm. I see they're just getting so many different comments. Someone mentioning, how about get a petition to get Senator McCain to drop out of the race?
Wow.
Jet Law saying Trump always talks about all Americans. What more does Nate want?
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to only want to divide us Americans. And with regard to the question about Senator McCain, a petition to have Senator McCain drop out, I think what we have to do is call upon Senator McCain and do what we're doing to remind him of his values. Mm-hmm. And it's someone just like Senator McCain that has been a voice of reason and independence in the past. And we respect Senator McCain. I do tremendously. I voted for Senator McCain a number of times in any election that I could. And I think, he needs to remember his values, and he needs to remember why he's serving and why he served in the military. So, absolutely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Joe Foley tweeting us, Joe Foley's a viewer from the UK, Trump is just playing on people's fears. The sad thing is, if you keep saying it, sometimes it sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is part and parcel of hate speech. It's part and parcel of racism and bigotry. It's a dog whistle. It's, I read an article on Rolling Stone that it's stochastic terrorism, mm-hmm. what he does when he, speaks about Second Amendment people taking things into their own hands. Right. It's a dog whistle out there to someone that's listening. And you never know how that person's going to act. And so Donald Trump is being more of a terrorist than anyone else.
Are you surprised with how, I guess, divisive Donald Trump's rhetoric has become? Because, a year ago he had announced that he was running for president. He made those comments about Hispanics, Latinos. Yeah. But did you think it was going to get as bad as it has? Did you realize? A lot of people didn't even think Trump was going to be the nominee.
Yeah. No, I know. I didn't either. And I think during the Republican primaries, when I was able to watch it, I thought, no, there's no way Americans could vote for this person. And it's been a shock. And I think that's why it's so important for recognized GOP leaders to stand up and say, this is an aberration. This is not who we are as a Republican Party. We can do better. We need to do better because this is taking America in a direction that we don't want to go, mm-hmm. and we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to acknowledge this comment from Ale Benitez saying, thank you for your service, Nate. We love people like you.
Alejo. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really kind.
And were you born and raised here in Arizona?
I was born in New York,
okay.
And we moved out. My mom and I moved out here my junior year of high school. Mm-hmm. So and then I joined the military after high school. I went to a semester of college, junior college, because if you got 12 credit hours, you could go in as a little bit higher rank, and it meant a little bit better pay.
So you were really strategically planning this whole path to the military.
Oh, absolutely.
You knew exactly what you were going to do.
Definitely. Yeah.
To do that. What are some of your favorite memories from being a part of the Navy?
The Navy. My first tour of duty, if you will, my first duty station was as a member of the Presidential Honor Guard in Washington, D.C. I was actually the first Muslim American selected to serve in the U.S. Navy's Presidential Honor Guard. And, I remember vividly that Senator McCain was often one of the speakers at, say, POW, MIA ceremonies at the Pentagon. And it was, where all of the Honor Guard platoons are lined up. And the VIP, in this case Senator McCain, would do a pass and review. And I have this photo up on my Facebook and my social media where it's Senator McCain walking right past my Honor Guard platoon. In fact, when I left the military, I sent that picture into Senator McCain's office, and he signed it and sent it back to Nate. Thank you for your service. So I know that there's a good man in there. He's abandoned his values and what's made him great, and he needs to, he needs to come back to who he's been.
I just pulled up that photo so that the viewers can see it.
There it is, yeah. So there's me, a young me.
Which one? Where are you?
So I'm actually the first one right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
This one that I'm pointing at?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Right here?
That's it, yep.
And there's Senator McCain. It's so interesting to look at this photo and then look at what you're doing today, what you're calling upon this man in this photo to do on behalf of you and fellow other
Yeah.
vets that feel the same way.
Right. Like I never could have thought, all that time ago when we were there, I remember that particular ceremony in Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon. And this is my home state senator. I'm standing there as
and
this
you're
kid.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he's a Navy man. And I remember, I was so proud to have Senator McCain as my senator. And that's why I'm hoping that he'll come around. And I'm hoping that he will stand up, unendorse Donald Trump, and do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. And I have this comment from Bob: if it was my world, I wouldn't allow someone with no military experience to become commander-in-chief. That in reference to Donald Trump running for president. And if you guys are just joining us, you're wondering what we're talking about up here. Nate and I are talking about how 113,000 people have signed this petition. I actually want to pull up this petition right here. We can pull this up. A MoveOn.org petition. Tell GOP leaders to disavow Trump and his attacks on veterans. Currently 113,000 signatures. So you guys dropped all this off at Senator McCain's office.
We did. We dropped it off. We went to D.C., actually, in Capitol Hill a week and a half ago, and dropped it off there in his office. And I promised there that we would do it in our home states too. And so I came back and fulfilled my promise. I came up here, I live in Tucson, and I came up here and took it to Senator McCain's doorstep. And I hope that he hears us.
Have you gotten a response yet from his
We haven't gotten any
team?
response. One of the reporters that was at the press event today told me about what Senator McCain said earlier when he was asked by the media what he thinks about the petition delivery that we're doing, and Senator McCain completely avoided the question. And it's shocking to see what's going on with him. He's abandoned his values. He needs to come back to who he is. He needs to have that courage that he's written about and unendorse Donald Trump.
Well, I do want to thank you for your service.
Thank
I know
you.
a lot of our viewers are thanking you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
We're glad to have you as an Arizonan.
Thank you. I'm honored to be in Arizona, and I'm honored to have served my state and my country, and I love you all for all the support. I know folks message me on Facebook and Twitter and messages of love and congratulations and support and all of that. So, I think if we stand up and we do the right thing together, then we'll get to where we need to go.
Right.
Yeah. And I think John McCain, I hope and pray that he'll see the light.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for chatting with
you.
us and
Yeah, it's
stopping
been
by
my
Fox
pleasure.
10 and
This is
answering
cool.
all the viewer questions,
Yeah.
replying to them. Interestingly enough, we do have a Donald Trump event that's just about to start.
Oh, my.
Do you ever sit back and watch these Donald Trump rallies?
I watched the DNC.
Oh, okay.
The RNC, the Republican
RNC.
convention, and it was very scary. It wasn't just Trump, his surrogates, Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich. The amount of hatred, the amount of fear that they engage in was appalling. And it was very, very sad and very, very frightening. I think minorities watched that. I think any American watched that and thought, this is not us. This idea of fear baiting and hate mongering is so anti-American.
Do you think that it's possible that Donald Trump might become a little more moderate, that maybe he's just saying these things and that he doesn't actually believe it, but he's trying to play to a certain audience just for votes? I mean, I've heard that argument a lot as well, that if he were as racist as everyone is saying he is, wouldn't we have learned about it in the last 3 decades because he was already famous then?
Yeah.
Is this something that he's doing for attention?
I think I don't think so. I think it's who he really is at the core. I think that's come out. And frankly, I don't think it matters whether or not this is really who he is or if this is an act. This is something that he's been saying and putting into the public conversation.
Right.
And this is exactly why GOP leadership need to call him out and say, this is not us, this is not the Republican Party. Senator McCain needs to stand up against Donald Trump, against hate speech. It's not about endorsing any candidate. It's about saying that we don't want this person as our commander-in-chief because he's unfit to lead.
Right. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, he doesn't even have the experience to be in that position. Larry Z tweeting us, I guess I missed some of the tweets, how the hell could any vet vote Dem? have decimated our military again and again. Now, what's your response to that?
Yeah, again, this is something that's interesting because folks automatically assume that I'm Dem or we're Dem or Libertarian or Green Party or something like that. It's not about me picking any party. I'm not a political person. This is about me standing up against hate speech. It's about me standing up against a divisive person that frankly, every time he opens his mouth, he violates the Constitution that I took an oath and my fellow veterans took an oath and Senator McCain took an oath to defend. Mm-hmm. It's not about supporting any party or any candidate. It's about standing up to hate speech. It's about standing up to Trump, and we need Senator McCain to dump Trump.
We have Jason Cooper tweeting, thank you, Nate Terani, for your voice and your service. That one message coming from Jason.
Thank you.
And Jet Law, Trump is modern direct politics. Again, all means all. So I still don't understand, Nate. Is Trump a racist? That's absurd. This is coming from, I believe, Jet Law, who is a Trump supporter.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's anyone that can dispute Donald Trump is a racist. His comments about minorities, his comments against various religions speak for themselves. This is self-evident. There's no debate. Whether he uses the words all or some or many, I don't know what that qualifier is there. And I appreciate that, at least Jet Law is listening to our conversation. That says a lot about who we are as Americans. We can still debate, and he or she is asking questions here. That's great. There's no question Donald Trump is a racist. There's no question he's a bigot. Everyone knows it. If you support him, you know who you're supporting. And for John McCain,
what about the Republican Party, though? I mean, the Republican Party, some people are in this tough bind where they want to support their party, but they don't agree with Donald Trump. There have been prominent Republicans that have come out and said they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, but not all of them feel that they can do that, especially in a year when a Supreme Court justice is on the line. That's another argument they're making. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I wish I could talk with greater knowledge about the intricacies of politics. All I know as a veteran is that Donald Trump violates everything that me and my fellow veterans have taken an oath to defend. Mm-hmm. All of the little sort of details about politics are a little bit beyond me, frankly. As a veteran, and knowing my oath, knowing our history as a nation, knowing how great we are as a diverse nation, I know that Donald Trump is wrong, and I know that folks like John McCain are the only kinds of people that can stand up to him because of who they are, because of the gravity that they have as national figures. Yeah.
Let's see. Judith Gomez adding that Donald Trump used anti-black and brown discrimination practices in his New York apartments over 20 years ago. This is well documented, giving proof that he has some history of, some would believe, racist behavior.
I mean, you see, this is. I mean, I don't know about this particular story, but this again goes to what I had said. This is the core of Trump, misogyny, all of the derogatory, awful things he said about women, all the things he said about Latinos and Muslims and every other thing. All he's done is to try to divide us. All he's done is to try to disenfranchise and cause hate and incite violence. This is so counter to who we are. There's never been an election, as far as I'm aware, and I'm sure some historian can look into this, where an American presidential candidate calls for the assassination of his rival. I mean, he's talking about Second Amendment alternatives, and the Second Amendment people need to do something. It's shocking, and I cannot for the life of me understand why someone like John McCain would endorse that. Why would he not distance himself, not just distance himself, stand against it?
Right. I think he's in a tough position. I mean, he's not using Donald Trump's name.
Right.
He keeps saying, I support the nominee.
I support the nominee.
He doesn't say endorse.
Right.
He doesn't say Trump. He says, I support the nominee. And I feel like those are the only words he can get himself to say.
I know.
Because I think deep down, we, observing him, know that he doesn't really align himself with Donald Trump or his beliefs.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. He's lost his values. He needs to have the courage to speak up. He needs to have the courage to speak up and say, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. I unendorse him. This is too far. This person cannot be commander-in-chief. He can't be commander-in-chief of the military in which I served.
What do you think about, you talked about watching the RNC. What did you think about Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz going up there and not blatantly saying, I endorse Donald Trump.
Yeah, he said, vote your conscience.
Yep.
That really is something. Ted Cruz, in Texas, this is interesting because here is another member of the GOP, and isn't it unprecedented? I don't know if any other Republican rival has gone up there and just said, vote your conscience like that before, essentially saying, don't vote for Trump, whatever you do. This is another GOP member. There were, 50 national security leaders, national security experts that signed a petition that said, you must not vote for Trump. We unendorse Trump. We can't, this is bad for our country. Republican leaders have come out, stood up courageously throughout this campaign and said, we're not going to vote for Trump, but too few have come out. And folks like John McCain need to come out and unendorse Trump.
Larry Z, going back to the issue of the Democrats, look what Democrats have done to our readiness. Lowest troop levels since World War II. Marines cannibalizing aircraft. Thoughts?
Yeah, you see, this is interesting because again, this is partisan, and I'm not sure. For me, it's not about Republican and Democrat. I served in the military from '97 to '06. I served under both Democratic president, and a Republican president, and was honored to serve under both. And so I think everyone in the military feels that way. So with regard to partisan politics, it's not about me saying one party is right, one party is wrong.
Right.
I'm saying Donald Trump is wrong.
Right.
I'm saying Donald Trump needs to be stopped. And folks like John McCain are the folks that need to step up and dump Trump. They are the folks that need to stand up against Trump. This is again, I'm not that savvy with the politics, but I do know that Donald Trump is wrong.
Right. And now you mentioned, serving under both a Democratic president and a Republican president. Did you notice any differences?
No. I worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and folks are political in the military, or they're not political. This idea that one party is bad for the military or one party is good for the military, both parties have different perspectives on how the military should be run and funding and things like that. But we're all Americans. This is what has occurred in the past, is whether it was a Republican president or a Democratic president, they may have different perspectives on how the military should be run. But none of them go out like Donald Trump and insult military families. None of them go out and insult the military institution itself. This is a first where someone has shown such a disregard and disrespect for the U.S. military. And I can't understand why someone like John McCain, who is so well known for his military service and is known for his love of the military in a very good way, doesn't stand up to Donald Trump.
And speaking of John McCain's military service, Donald Trump kind of made fun of John McCain for his military service, saying he wasn't a fan of people who were captured. I mean, John McCain is a prisoner of war. Many people regard him as a hero.
Yes.
And and Donald Trump kind of called him out on that.
He didn't, I don't know. Can you say he called him out? I mean, it was one of the most disrespectful, awful things I've ever heard in my life. How can you... It's widely acknowledged by people on both sides of the aisles that John McCain is a hero. He served as a POW. I mean, he was in prison for several years in Vietnam. And he survived that with such courage. Everybody knows that. And Donald Trump, again, he shows a fundamental lack of reason. He shows a fundamental disrespect for the military. And for someone like John McCain to have been insulted in that very personal way, his service and the service of his fellow POWs. Because when Donald Trump said that, he was not just talking about John McCain. He was talking about all POWs. I'd rather support someone that wasn't captured.
Yeah.
All of our POWs, MIA, Donald Trump just utterly disrespects them all. And someone like John McCain, who was a POW, is the person that needs to stand up and say, you're wrong. You're unfit to be president.
Right. I mean, and that's something to take into account when you're dropping off all these signatures about Donald Trump's comments against the Goldstar family, the Khan family. Here he is again, disrespecting someone's military service.
Yes, exactly.
He did it towards John McCain. He did it towards the Khan family.
Yeah.
And what you're saying basically is John McCain, despite being disrespected by Donald Trump, still isn't willing to denounce him.
No, he's not. And this is what I just for the life of me can't understand, that Senator McCain would abandon his values in this clear way. He needs to remember who he is and who he's been and what he means to the country. And he needs to unendorse Donald Trump. I mean, there's no question about it. Just what you said. The slights and the attacks and the smears against an American Gold Star family simply because of their religion is beyond the pale.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it. Many Americans have never seen anything like it. It was an incredible moment.
Right. And we have this response from one of our viewers who I believe is a Trump supporter, clarifying, Khan said Donald did not sacrifice anything and did not read the Constitution. That was the attack.
Yeah, I mean, but that goes to, I think Kazir Khan is right. Donald Trump has no idea what military families go through, and he's demonstrated that through the things that he's said. And this what Kazir Khan said was way after Donald Trump's attack on Muslims. And what Kazir Khan was talking about when I watched his incredible speech at the DNC was equal protection under the law. That's what we serve for. And Donald Trump does not see it that way. He does not see equality in the United States. He sees divisiveness. He sows divisiveness. And so that's what Kazir Khan is talking about, in my humble opinion.
Well, just going through and reading some of the tweets and comments.
Yeah, I see some folks I know.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our discussion. Cole Grant, Tam, defending you. Now you're mad because we have a man that speaks his mind and isn't scared to tell how it should be. Maybe he's defending Trump.
I think he's defending Trump on that one. I don't know. It's a good question.
But we do have a lot of people, commenting nonstop on Facebook Live as well. There are a lot of Trump fans in there.
Yeah. But that's okay, and this is the thing, and that's fine. This is who we are. I mean, we're supposed to have a debate. We're supposed to have a debate. It doesn't have to be disrespectful, and it doesn't have to be ugly and nasty. This is who we are as Americans. This is what folks like Donald Trump don't want.
Right.
They want to only keep us incredibly angry towards each other. They want to sow divisiveness. They don't want us to talk like this. I mean, we're messaging each other on Facebook. I have friends of all political persuasions. So yeah. And the great thing about us is this democracy that we have, this discussion, this great discussion that we have as a people and we've had since our founding. That's who we are. That's what Donald Trump doesn't understand. That's what John McCain has demonstrated throughout his career that he supports. And if John McCain supports this, who we are as a nation, he needs to stand against someone like Donald Trump when he's so counter to everything we are.
Well, we shall see if Senator McCain actually responds.
Yes.
You guys dropped off over 110,000 signatures today at his office. You dropped off signatures last week in D.C.
Yes, right, yeah.
The question is, will Senator McCain come out and denounce Donald Trump? Reporters tried to ask him earlier today.
Yeah.
He avoided the question, repeated his phrase, "I support the nominee," without saying Donald Trump's name.
Yeah.
And here you guys were able to meet Nate Terani, a Muslim American who served in the U.S. military. Nate, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
And guys, just to be fair and balanced, I'm now going to take you live to a Donald Trump rally. How about
there you
that?
Go.
That's
all
fair,
right?
right?
See you.
All right, Nate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
I'm Pastor Mark Burns. Help me elect the next president of the United States, Donald J.